What's up, guys, and welcome to another amazingly awesome episode of Natalie's Reptile Room. As always, the one, the only, is Natalie, your host, right?
So, today, guys, this is Natalie's Reptile Room. Today, this is your host, Natalie, and this is your co-host, Kevin.
Today on Natalie's Reptile Room, we're introducing what could be the cutest snake we have ever had on this channel. Well, as far as the cutest snake we've ever had, what do you think?
This little guy.
He's the cutest. This little guy right here may be the best snake to persuade somebody that is maybe scared of snakes, that don't really like snakes. I think if you showed them one of these guys, you could get them to change their mind, right?
Yeah, but guys, guess what?
What?
Nomi is terrified of snakes.
Yes, she is. You don't think we could probably get her to change her mind with one of these? No, she was still scared of it, wasn't she?
Yeah. Guys, if you have a Nomi, just tell her to get a bag or something like that, or a pillowcase to put them in.
And definitely don't scare your Nomi with a snake.
Yeah, that would freak her out.
Yes, it would. So today, as you can probably hear, Natalie's feeling a little bit under the weather. She's definitely got a cough and a cold. So Miss Natalie, what are we introducing to the world here today?
So, guys,
What kind of snake?
a ringneck snake, and guys, you can see somebody went over him.
Yeah, so we did notice when we found him a few weeks back that it looks like somebody clipped him with a mower or maybe a weed whacker. I'm surprised with that big of a chunk out of him, he survived for that long, don't you?
Yeah. Guys, if you see a snake like this, don't be afraid, because we picked it right up. Didn't even kill us, didn't even bite us. And if these little guys bite you, it won't kill you.
No, and their teeth are so small, probably wouldn't even go through your skin, right?
Yeah, guys.
So these are actually a very common snake here in North America, stretching everywhere from the East Coast all the way out to the West Coast. We've actually seen a couple of these guys here in Maryland, haven't we? We've seen a couple of them before. I remember it was actually on our Facebook page. It was the first snake you ever met. You were only like a year old. And we found a little ringneck snake down in Grandma's basement.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Hmm?
We'll share the video on here. But
Is that a snake?
Yeah.
Look at you. Hi, Nick. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt.
But she is a trip. She immediately held it, and being a young girl that age, I was even surprised.
Yeah.
So ringneck snakes are definitely on the smaller side of snakes, right?
Yeah. And
These
guys, when I was at Nomi's, I am wanting pretty good. I mean, wanting ABCs, and I'm wanting a lot of stuff.
You are getting prepared for school next year, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna ace it, all of your classes.
Yes.
But these guys, they're definitely a smaller size snake. They grow only to about 10 to 15 inches. And they've still got a pretty good lifespan on them. They still live anywhere from like 6 to 20 years. I mean, that kind of size snake, this is a perfect snake for you, right?
Yes.
Small, this is like definitely a kid-friendly snake, right? So why don't you also tell everybody what kind of like cool color scheme these guys have?
So guys, if you see a wing around their neck, that means they're a ringneck snake.
So these guys, like Natalie said, have a really cool color scheme where the top of their body is like a dark black to like a grayish color, and then they can even go to like an olive color. But the top of them is like darker, kind of your more like snake color, while the bottom of them usually are like a bright yellow and orange and even a red, with of course the same color ring around their neck, where they get their name, ringneck snake. And then for those brighter colors, do you know what they use those brighter colors for?
No.
You don't know what they have those brighter colors for?
Mm-mm.
So in nature, like the natural outside, outdoors, you don't commonly see those brighter colors like highlighter, yellow, orange, and red. Those aren't colors you see out in the wild. So if they're being attacked or they feel threatened, they'll flip their tail up and show off those colors. And what that does is it like confuses the predator because it's something not natural that they usually see, or to make things think that it's poisonous. Can you believe that?
Guys, if you see that, you can pick it up.
But they also give off that color to appear poisonous. Now you know what the difference between poisonous and venomous is, correct?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
So if they have very sharp teeth and they try to come after you, that means they are venomous. And if they're poisonous, they don't come. They just are like, kind of, but they just like go slowly and come.
Well, kinda, and you're pretty close there, but venomous is, there are snakes that have a venom gland in them, and they envenomate you by injecting that venom into you, right? So those fangs go in, and then the venom comes out, right? Right?
Yeah.
And then poisonous would be like if his body secreted poison and you were to ingest that poison or something like that, that's poisonous, right?
Yeah.
And then on the subject of venomous, you want to tell the viewers here a little fun fact about him?
They are venomous.
That's right.
But if they bite into you, it won't kill you.
No. And she's absolutely right. So a lot of people don't know this, but ringneck snakes are actually venomous. They secrete that venom, and just like your hognose snake and the false water cobra, they do have rear fangs. However, it is an incredibly mild venom.
Guys, do you know about spinning cobras?
Oh yeah, we've done a couple of them in the top 10.
Yeah, guys, if you see a spinning cobra, one back, because if it got in your eyes, you'll be blind.
And they aim for the eyes, right?
Yep, and they aim for the eyes.
And a couple of our top 10 coolest reptiles, we've got a couple spinning cobras we're going to be going over here soon. But like we were saying, this guy does have little rear fangs in the back of his mouth. Their venom is made to affect like very small prey, like worms, slugs, like smaller slugs. So to a human or even a pet, a cat or a dog, it won't hurt them.
Yeah, and guys, I put some leaves in his cage and some sticks, but I tried to keep it. I got like a stick, and it was like straight on the end and two straight on that side, but I accidentally broke one of the parts.
You did a very good job with his enclosure. She kept it very Maryland-esque.
Yeah.
So one of the coolest things about ringneck snakes that me and Natalie find awesome is rather than like 99.9% of snake species that you cannot keep more than one of them together, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't keep two ball pythons together, you can't keep two false water cobras together, right?
Yeah.
The snakes are very solitary animals. They don't do well when they're put together with other snakes even of the same species.
So guys?
Unless you're breeding them, right?
Yeah.
And even then, the people will only have them in there for like maybe a day or two, or even a few hours. But they don't live together. And unlike most of those snake species, these guys, just like garter snakes, you can cohab them. You can have more than one or two of them together, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, and that's very rare with snakes. They don't usually do good with others. In the wild, these guys are actually found in clusters or nests of like 100 or more ringneck snakes all together. Could you imagine like lifting up a board and finding 100 of these things just moving around under the board? Her grandma would lose it. Right?
Yeah. Pizza.
Pizza. Here, hold on one second.
Guys, the pizza here.
The pizzas here. So Emily on Snake Discovery actually did an excellent point on why this is. You remember Snake Discovery? Well, there.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get you more into it. But Emily from Snake Discovery brought up an excellent point called the dither effect, where, without getting too scientific, basically is that when animals are together, they can feel more secure, more safe. It kind of gives them the idea that, well, if there's these other animals around, then I must be safe, right?
Mm.
So kind of like power in numbers, but just look it up and definitely watch Snake Discovery's video on, I believe it was garter snakes that they did that. Pretty cool though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But all in all, Natalie and I think ringneck snakes make an absolutely excellent starter snake. We think they make a great snake just all together, especially like we said for somebody that is either just getting into the hobby, maybe they have like a slight fear about snakes, or they still have the idea that they're like slimy or something like that. This guy's actually really cool feeling, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know what he reminds me of?
What?
The false water cobra. Remember, they are also called the Brazilian smooth snake, and he's smooth just like him, right?
Yeah.
So another awesome thing about this little guy, and you're gonna notice we talk about quite a few things that are awesome about them, is the enclosure. With an incredibly small snake, we don't need a huge enclosure, right?
Yeah, we don't need a huge one.
So this is a snake that will do perfectly fine even in a 10-gallon tank. Now obviously if you plan on getting more of them or multiple of them, you're probably gonna wanna get something bigger, right?
Yeah.
Which, to the downside of them, one of the only downsides about them, is there's not really a market out there for ringneck snakes. So majority of them that you get, they're gonna be wild caught. So, and then one thing me and you both have noticed about him is they're a very shy species, which once they eventually get comfortable, we've noticed that he's become a lot more active during the day and the night, right?
Yeah.
He's walking around, well, slithering around, going and checking out his digs, seeing what he can find.
Yeah.
But as a shy species, like how you did his enclosure and you set it up very, very good to give him plenty of places to hide, to move around and explore, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to give him some cover, so that way he does what?
Follow?
Yeah, he can go through the branches and stuff that you put in there, and it keeps him active. Gives him some good old snake exercise.
Yeah. And guys, watch out, because if you break it, put two together, and watch out if you put two together, because they'll probably fall.
Two what?
2 sticks.
2 sticks, gotcha. So when it comes to this guy's enclosure, how do you want to make him feel?
Safe and comfortable.
Safe and comfortable, that's exactly right. So giving him plenty of hides throughout the enclosure, and you can even do like a little humidity box for him too, right?
Yeah.
And he'll look good in that.
So guys, the fun fact about these guys is they are really good at balling, and don't let them, if you have a table this big, don't let them get out of your hand.
Yeah, you don't want to lose them. But remember, when we go on snake adventures, one thing we do to try and find these guys is they're always close to water. They like being close to a water source. So their substrate should be something that does contain like moisture in it, because that's pretty much their whole life. Staying near a water source is like a moist substrate that they're going to be moving around in, right?
Yeah. Come here, buddy.
Look at him curled into like a little ball like that.
Yeah. Guys, look at him.
But in his enclosure, there's still a cold-blooded snake. So they're still going to need like a hot side of the enclosure, a cold side of the enclosure, well, warm and a cool side. So, you all right? Yeah.
A little bit cold.
A little bit coffee.
Yeah.
So a heat lamp or even a heating pad does them just fine, but they'll still need a basking spot.
Look at him.
So UVB light with ringneck snakes isn't entirely necessary. However, they are one snake that I would recommend having UVB, and when we get into diet, we'll explain why. Keep your tail in the ride at all times, buddy.
Yeah, keep your tail in.
Which does lead us into our final point, diet, which may be another plus for you. So the ringneck snake's diet consists of like smaller insects, worms, slugs. Sometimes they'll eat bigger prey items in the wild like frogs or lizards. But generally speaking, they're gonna be on little insects, worms, and slugs their entire diet. So if you're a person that doesn't like the idea of feeding rodents to a snake, this is a snake you would never have to feed rodents. You think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
A good thing.
A good thing? You don't like feeding mice to them?
No. Do you like to?
I don't like to, but I mean, it's how nature works, right?
Yeah.
Snakes gotta eat, other animals gotta eat.
And
It's the cycle of life. And then finally, how often you feed them. Natalie and I are kind of testing this by trial and error. Ugh, you good?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you some medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably like in the morning.
We'll get some tonight. Not Robitussin. Robitussin is yucky.
Yeah. Guys, if you...
Bubblegum flavored.
Yeah, I love bubblegum.
But as far as how often you feed them, Natalie and I have done a lot of research on this, and we couldn't really find any definitive answers of how often they should eat. We're kind of learning by trial and error, and all we can really do to you is suggest what we're doing, or what we think is right. As a baby, obviously they need to grow, they're in the process of still growing. So when they're eating smaller items like that, we have been feeding him daily, things like worms, small crickets, slugs, that kind of thing. Now, as he gets bigger, we may move on to bigger items, but I think he'll do just fine on that.
Yeah.
And as a baby, kind of like you, when you're growing, you gotta eat a little more, right?
Yeah, like broccoli, I love broccoli.
And then as we mentioned, why you may want to do UVB light. They're not getting the calcium from the bone of rodents and things like that. So that is one reason we would recommend a UV light. And definitely, you know, the calcium powder we have.
Yeah.
You like dump that on some crickets and stuff to help out with calcium.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so hope you guys enjoyed the video on our ringneck snake. So hopefully we're going to get Natalie better by sometime this week. Get rid of that cough, right?
Yeah, and guys, say bye to this little one. Bye-bye.
So if you guys found this informative or just found the video entertaining, make sure to give us a like. Definitely send us some comments to let us know if you guys have raised ringneck snakes before, kept ringneck snakes before. One thing we definitely want to do with this channel is to kind of expand the knowledge of like what
And
we
guys,
know to you guys and
I'm gonna
vice
tell you
versa.
something.
Alright guys, so if you would consider subscribing and joining us this Wednesday, this coming Wednesday is our top 10 coolest reptiles. And then, I hate you being sick. And then next weekend, we're showing our new reptile, right?
Yep, and guys, I'm sorry, but we can't tell you.
Can't tell you, but how cool is it?
Really cool.
Really
Guys,
cool.
bye-bye.
Alright guys, see you in a few days. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye,
And
little ringneck snake.
I will be better soon.
Yeah, so we're gonna go eat our pizza.
Yeah. And my
Bye guys.
sticks. Bye-bye.